I called it FeminExit. I got to tell you, people, in this year 2020, I'm going to work very hard to try to not just tell you news stories of the day and my commentary and, analysis. I want to be making the argument over and over for women, for minorities, for everyone, that leftist ideas hurt people. Left-wing ideas destroy cities. Left-wing ideas destroy cities and families and schools and communities and neighborhoods and the Boy Scouts and everything they touch. Leftist ideas hurt people. And so I say, and the left claims to own the women's vote. I mean, Nancy Pelosi, women are with us. Yeah, with the women's vote, that's us. Now, I tell you that we do have an issue with women. When you look at polling, they keep saying, well, women are, kind of trending away, thinking they might vote Democrat this time. And there has been a trend over several years to have the women's vote go more and more to the left. But I think that's a result. Abortion's one issue, which we've talked about many times in the show. We'll probably talk about it again. We're not talking about it today. Today, I just want to talk about what exactly is it that the left wing in this world, the radical left, in fact, the left of America, the Democrat Party, I don't even like to use the name Democrat Party. They really have been overtaken by leftists, by radical leftism, and by socialism. And I want to ask you seriously, you tell me, what is it the leftists propose that actually helps women? What policy? So I hit FeminExit. I'm going to hit 3 stories on this. One is, I'm going to start with Boy Scouts. I wrote bail reform, Boy Scouts, and borders, but I'm going to start with the Boy Scouts. People, you know very well, if your sweet son wanted to join the Boy Scouts and love camping, which I say in our house growing up, my sister and I were Girl Scouts. My brother was a Boy Scout. We went camping all the time. It was a big thing. It was great fun, great wholesome activity. But if your sweet son came to you and said, I really want to join Boy Scouts, I love this troop, and they're going to go camping, I want to go camping with them, I want to go to Jamboree this summer, I want to go to Boy Scout camp for the summer, most parents just say, hey, that's great. It's wholesome, it's outdoors, it's learning skills, learning survival skills, learning morals, learning lots of things. But if your son came to you and said that, and then you went to, connect him with a troop or sign him up, whatever, and you realize that the Boy Scout troop was run by 2 gay men, and they were going to be the ones taking your son camping all summer, I know in your heart, whether you think it's better to be politically correct and be silent, what you'd be thinking is, this is not the right troop. What are we doing here? Can't we find a troop with guys, with men who are married to women? Can't we find a troop like that? This has become, what I just said, is so logical, but it's also become almost impossible to say. So on my FeminExit thing, in the privacy of your own home, not where you're trying to answer in front of other people, whether you're trying to explain your position to a neighbor who's a leftist, but you ask yourself, why does the left push for things like gay Boy Scout leaders? Why? Why would that have been something that the left pushed so hard? There's no good reason for it. There is no good reason to agree to have gay Boy Scout leaders. But the left, not only did they push it, and they succeeded in just pressuring the Boy Scouts of America to agree to this policy, but now we're facing this collapse of the Boy Scouts, financial collapse, and the mainstream news talking about it can't even talk about the problem. Barely talks about pedophilia. Barely talks about gay scout leaders being a problem. So, FeminExit ladies, you tell me, what is the reason that this is a good plan for you and your children, your son? Because the answer is most parents would say, no thanks, don't even think I want that. On bail reform, another huge, so the first point on FeminExit, the LGBTQ agenda, from having boys compete against your daughter when she's doing a track meet in high school and can't possibly beat the boy, to having males with male anatomy joining your daughter in the shower at public school, to having gay Boy Scout leaders taking your son camping for the summer. I don't think it's actually a hard question. I think that common sense tells you these are not wise moves. You can be loving, you can be accepting, you can agree that adults in this country have the right to live their life any way they want. They have the right to marry other adults, marry someone of the same sex, of the opposite sex. That's a right. You can do that as an adult. Why would the left push, though, for gay scout leaders for letting men or boys use girls' locker rooms and girls' showers? There is no reason for it, except the left has been swept up in pushing the LGBTQ, especially the transgender agenda in this country, and so few people stand up against it. Number two, on this FeminExit mission, this idea of bail reform. In New York City, bail reform, if you're not following this issue, bail reform is a trendy left-wing thing to do. Bail reform says that we have been so cruel in our criminal justice system in this country that when we arrest people and then they have to either post bail to get out until their trial date, or they have to sit in jail until their trial date, that this policy has hurt low-income Americans because they can't afford to make bail. And if they sit in jail waiting for their trial date, they lose their job. Or they have other things happen to them because they aren't fulfilling their societal responsibilities. But the answer of the left is basically got rid of bail. So in New York City, two stories out of New York City. In New York City, which has gone through bail reform, so they basically, almost everyone, I was just reading a story about the New York City, the attorney there and a neighboring county, saying they basically, after arrests and processing, so they're going to prosecute someone, they don't impose bail for hardly anything. I mean, for murder, I guess they do, and hopefully they'll hold them until the trial date for murder, for serious violence, but for most crimes, they don't. So in New York City, the New York City subway thief, that's the name they gave this guy, but this guy who's now been arrested 139 times in New York City, 139, they're calling him the subway thief. He's immediately released after being arrested again. First, he's been swiping hundreds of dollars from unsuspecting subway commuters. So he's taking money, and he's been arrested 139 times. But he made a statement to the media after this last time. His statement: bail reform, it's lit. L-I-T, lit. He's saying, so cool. I've been arrested 139 times. Nothing happens to me. You tell me, people, if this is the kind of country you want to have. Abandonment of the rule of law is what is happening. And in New York City, they've had a significant spike in serious crimes, in shootings, other major crimes. They're up nearly 30% more shootings at this start of 2020, up 30% more shootings as last time. This is from the New York Police Department official statistics. Serious crime increased in 5 of the 7 categories. They recorded 70 shooting incidents in which at least one person was injured, up 27.3% from last year at this time. And the New York police, let me give you a few more, because it's not like, they had 2 more people jaywalking. They also had the number of shooting victims, 83, grew at even greater pace, up 40.7% from a year ago. Robberies up by 35% from over a year ago. Burglaries, grand larcenies, felony assaults, all up 18%, 10%, 8%. Okay, so I'm getting around to say that New York sources, New York Police Department, the NYPD, blames the alarming situation on the state's controversial new bail reform law, which mandates the release of most defendants charged with misdemeanors and felonies that are considered nonviolent. And so again, on my FeminExit thing, and the reason I'm getting on this, because people, we have an election this year, and there are women who think that somehow they're showing compassion. They're showing enlightenment. They're more enlightened. They're more conscientious. They care more. And so the left's policies they are told that Democrat policies, leftist policies are better for women. They're helping women. Isn't it great they're helping women? The other one I can't even get to, but we've talked about many times, but in this last segment, is borders. When you read the platform of the Democrat the Democrat presidential candidates, nearly all of them are more or less for abandoning the border, for abandoning border security. They don't want a wall built. They want to let more people in. They want to find an immediate path to citizenship for everybody who's here. It is a radical abandonment of the identity of America, of the borders of America, of the idea of citizenship, and that everyone here has to have some legal right to be here. The left has abandoned the idea of America, abandoned the idea that borders matter. So in summary, in this FeminExit segment, I want to just tell you, if you care about America, if you care about your children living in a safe country, if you care about feeling safe on the cities and the streets of New York, and forget it, if you don't live in New York, you can think, well, what do I care? They're all crazy back east. But this is popular all around the country. This bail reform idea of the leftists is just saying basically, people break the law, they get arrested, and as long as they didn't hurt anybody or flatten somebody along the way, they're just let out again. And they commit crime over and over and over and over. And crime stats are up. And the police department says, we know why they're up, because that's idiotic bail reform. Find me a Democrat who will criticize it. Find me a Democrat who says, this isn't really working out like we planned. So in wrapping up this segment, I want to say on FeminExit, when you are talking to your friends about politics, when you're thinking about politics, ask yourself, what exactly is it? Besides that the left claims they own the women's vote, and they do claim that, what is it they're doing that's actually helping women? Making the streets of our cities less safe, refusing to enforce the law, refusing to enforce the border, encouraging more and more people to enter America illegally, and then through their New Way Act, stay here illegally. They're never going to leave. They're never going to be made to leave if the Democrats run. And then even the things about the Boy Scouts, is that really the world you want to live in, where we all deny human reality? We deny the reality of men and women, and they get different restrooms because their anatomy is different. Or do we deny the reality of the idea that you really would not encourage the local frat boys from the local college to take your daughter's Girl Scout troop camping, and for the same reason, you really wouldn't be that excited about having a gay scoutmaster take a troop of small boys camping in the woods for a week? We're allowed to use common sense, and we're allowed to attack the ideas of the left because they lack common sense. They actually, as I say, the policies of the left hurt the American people.